Hello again, YouTuberlers. This is episode 2 of my series that I've started of me making a song from scratch and you lot following along and hopefully helping. If you haven't seen episode 1, there'll be a link in the description to it, and I recommend watching that before you watch this, otherwise you'll have no idea what's going on. Anyway, let's kick this off with what I'm doing now, and that's making a snare drum and the whole kit basically. You start off, like I said in my previous episode, if you haven't watched it, go and watch it now because it'd be very helpful this moment. I do different things with drums basically. I start off with the snare in the presets of drum kit, in the preset drum kits of GarageBand, and then I do things, take it out into a different program, move it back into GarageBand, do things, take it out, and so forth, so on, till I get what I want. Anyway, that's in the previous episode, so watch that shit. For here, what I'm doing now is I've made 3 separate tracks for the snare drum, and what that does is it creates a more of a channeled effect, so you've got left and right ears doing different things compared to the central bit. And how that works is I've got my snare drum with the full kick and everything on the middle channel, as you can see here, and then I've got snare drum left and right on different. Basically, the left and right is more of a reverbed echo effect of a snare drum, and then the middle bit is more of a crisp hit of the snare drum, so you can definitely hear it and it's there and it all sounds good. And what I do here is I fade in the left and right channels and not the middle one, so when the track drops you've got a better kick of a snare and it all sounds good, and it works if you fade it in like that. Here what I've done also is taken out my second snare drum, because there's 2 snares going on in the, well, there's 4 snares for the left and right channel, and then for the middle there's just 1 snare. And then here I've added in a bit of a swirl going on with bass, and it all sounds good. And there'll be a preview of the track at the end of the video, just so you can see what I've done so far compared to the other one. And if you listen back to my first episode and skip it to the end or whatever, listen to the track, and then skip this one to the end, listen to the track, you can see the difference and the improvement, or hopefully an improvement. I think it was. And yeah, like I said in my last video, make sure you leave comments and stuff like that, so I know a direction to take, because when I started this thing, I've no idea what to do. I don't know whether to make it dubstep, dance. To be honest, I really don't care. I want to know what you want me to do, and I'll do it. For the minute, I'm just making a track. I'm sort of leaning towards dubstep at the minute, as in like a chilled out Mount Eden sort of style, original dubstep stuff. And here, this is the bass kicks going in, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, this is bass kicks, and bass kicks works the same as the snare, except they're all central channeled, but they all do different things. So one of them's got more of a high end to it, but it's less volume, and the other one's got more of a low end and it's more volume and stuff like that. And you figure that stuff out by just messing around with your bass kick basically. Bass kick, basically bass, and you just dick about with your instruments until you find something that remotely sounds good, and then try and work on it from there. And it should work out for the best. You've just got to mess around with your stuff, and hopefully something will come out of it. But yeah, there's the swirls moving around, and all the volumes and frequencies and everything moving around, so it all sounds good. I showed you in your last episode about treble reduction, bass reduction, and all that stuff, and that's basically bass. What's going on here? And yeah, I've run out of things to say at this point. What I'm doing now is I'm editing the bass kick, so it's all so it's got a nice little bit of rhythm to it, and then it kicks into every step, and then it goes into half steps, and so it's a build up bass kick, and then it's gonna, as you can see here, there's a gap between some kicks and the other kicks, and I've gapped most of the song there, apart from the snare drum. And what's going to happen there is the reverse snare, which I just moved back then, is gonna crash into a snare. The reverse hi-hat cymbal even is going to crash into the snare kit, and the snare is only going to be it's going to be excluded from the rest of the track. So all you'll be able to hear is this fade in of the snare, and then the snare hit, and then back into the song. And you'll hear that in a lot of my songs as well. It's a good thing to do, and to be honest, you'll hear it in most dubstep and dance songs and stuff like that, because a lot of them do it. It's a nice way to fade into a bigger part of the track. And here what I'm doing is adding the main melody. Need to take all this volume stuff off. I know, I explained that in the last episode as well, all that volume malarkey going on there. Now here what I've done is I already know the kind of layout that I want, but instead of actually playing it on the MIDI keyboard, I'd rather it be spot on in time. So I'm editing it in here instead. I know what I want and where it's going and everything. It's just a fact of putting it in rather than playing it. It makes your tracks more in time. It may be, I mean, some people might call it cheating, but I don't really care because it's not easier in any way. If anything, it takes a lot more time. But that's the way I usually do it, because I want everything to be all the notes to be struck when they should be, and everything to be sounding okay. And yeah, if you listen to the track at the end, you'll see how this melody fades in, and you can see on the screen as well in a minute when I finish doing this that I have a nice frequency. I think it's bass reduction that I use. I'm not sure. It might be treble, but I use some kind of fade anyway, some filter, and it fades in nicely. And I also layer up this Rithy Fifths track with another one, and I can't remember what it is, but you'll see it shortly. And it just makes the main melody a bit better, really. I mean, you've got the main punch from the Rithy side of it, and then you've got the nice faded effect of echoey reverb sort of stuff from the second track, which I'm about to add now. I change it to the Vox pad. Is it a pad? No, it's not. To be honest, I don't even know. I can't remember what I'm doing. But yeah, you can see what I'm doing, and you know where these instruments are if you've used GarageBand anyway. And here comes the bass reduction I added, and you can see what I do with it as well. The gap in the middle that you can see also is what I explained before, with the gap between the build up and then the drop, basically. And you can see I faded it in, so it swoops in nicely, and then all of a sudden it kicks back up to nothing. You hear the snare hit, and then it fades in properly. And I also do volume changes, so it's louder when after the drop than before, as you should really do with most instruments as well, especially your drum kits. Your drum kits and stuff, main melodies need to be louder after the drop than they are before the drop. And anyway, that's the conclusion of episode 2. Please let me know if you liked it. Write in the comments the step you'd like me to take in the next video, and what you'd like to see more of, or maybe even another tutorial if I've not explained something thoroughly in these episodes. Thanks very much for listening and watching, and hopefully you enjoy what's happened so far. The track should be playing in the background now, so enjoy. Thank you very much.